welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a really big sketchbook. Oh yeah, this is a big sketchbook and Mom's been drawing in it for a really long time and it should have been done a long time ago, but she was lazy, but now it's done, so let's take a look. Hi guys, welcome to another sketchbook share. Honestly, I've had a real fun time filling out the sketchbook. There's a lot in here, so I'm going to try and not stay on these pages too long, but I am really happy with this and finishing it. I went back to my old ways and got a smaller sketchbook because I felt it took too long to fill out this one, and then now working in the smaller sketchbook, I'm wishing that I had one of this size. So it's really weird, and I'm working in a bunch of different sketchbooks at once. And Kirby, stop crying. You can't be a part of every second of every video. You're such a little attention hog. Let's take a look into the sketchbook. Alrighty tidy, I think the last time we left off in the sketchbook, it was on this Wonder Woman piece. And there is about, oh, I forget how many sheets in the sketchbook, but yeah, that was so long ago, but I was really proud of this at the time. And then I made this in a stream, I believe in the Gweakles con from last year. It was supposed to be one of the dragons from Game of Thrones. I forget his name right now because I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. I didn't finish him because I didn't like him, so moving on. Here's a couple of figure studies. A lot of things that I do most times when I'm like, oh man, I'm really stinking at the draws right now, as I go back and I just try and do some quick baby figure studies. I want to make a video about making figure sketching and making it easier and tackling that. Here is a sketch that I made at work when I was still working there, just because I wanted to draw and I didn't have any sketchbooks, so I ripped a page out of my friend's sketchbook. He let me. I didn't just steal his sketchbook and rip the page out. But this is for Skelly Dude, or Spiro, which is his real name, and I've kind of been exploring some backstory for him and maybe wanting to make a comic for that. I have a lot of ideas for comics and characters and things I want to do, and my mind is just everywhere and I can't make up my mind on that. Here we have some character exploration for one of the monsters that I want to include in Cat the Bat's universe, and this is kind of like almost a male version of what Sally would be. I kind of wanted to take the usual roles that male monsters get and give them to the females, and then vice versa. So the ragdoll bit, I have Rocky the Ragdoll here, but that's not going to be his name. It's not going to be a play on words for every single one of these characters. But I was just sketching out stuff, and then I really liked his face the most, probably because I used the reference for it. But it was difficult to figure it out because I'm like, then he's kind of looking kind of Frankensteinish, but then at the same time, if I draw him right, then I could just make him look like a rag doll. But just some exploration there. This was a Patreon exclusive print one month when I still have Patreon open. I closed my Patreon because it got to a point where I was making work, people were taking advantage of it, and then when the end of the month came, they pulled out their payment and then I was not getting paid. So until Patreon makes a way for everyone to be able to have their payments processed immediately from those who want to follow, and it does happen that way, but not for everyone, I can't go back on there, and frankly I don't think I have a large enough following to do that anyways. This was for another 10-minute drawing challenge. Absolute garbage compared to the first one I did with Toriel. I really froze up, which is weird because I used this one with markers, which should have been way quicker than watercolors, and I got so much more done and such a better piece done. It's crazy what you can accomplish, but depending upon the day, your mood, and how you're feeling at the time. But still practice, and that's all that matters. This was a sketchbook, and I was really proud of myself for making sure that every piece in here wasn't triggered to be a finished piece, but more of a sketch and learning and drawing. So that's what this is more about. Again, just figuring more stuff out with some of the monster characters. And then this, I was actually just exploring panels for almost a, for a comic because I got the idea in my head of one day how I wanted to tell the story of how Skelly Dude or Spiro came to be. And I had all of the frames in my head, and then I quickly just made little thumbnails right here, and I haven't done anything with them and then further explored them. Well, I actually did start to one day, and you've seen that page in my sketchbook if you've been part of my live streams, but didn't like it, wanna go back. I will revisit this, and I kind of really want to make a very short story, short comic strip, and maybe print it out. I don't know if anybody would have any interest of it, but I do want to explore that. If anyone is interested in Skelly Dude or Spiro's backstory, I really want to explore that, and I think it's really cool. Again, exploring more of the ragdoll thing. I tried to do a pose where like he was holding his soda and then his arm came off, and then this just looks absolutely awful because this was kind of obviously my first attempt at the drawing. And then once I got to sketching out a portrait, again, I used a reference. That's why we use reference, but this was just my first sketch, and this came out so much better, and I really like how that looked. And I think I might want to keep him. I'm still going through my mind different kind of monsters that I want to use for the gentleman characters in Cat the Bat and her world. This was actually my first attempt at the style challenge. Now, if you know from my other videos that I actually did this digitally. I actually did this traditionally first, hated how this came out, and then I'm like, I'm gonna try it digitally, and I'm gonna practice digitally because all this looks like bleh. And then my therapist told me I need to try and eat more magnesium because that was in there. This was for thanking everybody for 8,000 followers on Instagram. I'm really thankful. That was a really big milestone and made me feel really good. A Cat the Bat watercolor illustration, really quick. I actually drew this a couple times. You'll see her later on because I was fighting on what I wanted to do as per the usual, and I settled on that. Here I have some more cat sketches, just exploration. I was doing like different emotions to explore her character and profiles. I really need to practice profiles. Some days I can sketch profiles and they're on point, and then other days they're just utterly booty. I really like how this turned out, even though she's sad, my poor baby. I need to work on expressions. This was a little thumbnail template for that three-eyed raven tattoo idea that I came up with. This was kind of like the final version that I sold him on after mixing a bunch of different versions and before I did the complete thing. Here was another concept of Cat that I was drawing, you know, for her to say thank you for the 8,000 followers on Instagram, but I thought the pose was really corny. I thought it was overdone. Wasn't really happy with it, so I was like, bleh. This, not feeling so good, going through a bad time, and then I used Skelly Dude to kind of make my feelings go, and then I didn't even end up inking him there until my thing actually changed. So at the time when I sketched him, I said the only thing keeping me sane is coffee, anime, and video games. And then it changed to the only thing keeping me sane is coffee, video games, and Netflix, because I stopped watching some of my old animes that were on Netflix because I was like, I'm tired of reading the scripts at the bottom, even though I really liked it. Here are some raven sketches and studies for the three-eyed raven tattoo design initially. Before I started delving into designs for the tattoo, I wanted to sketch out some ravens, use some photo references, and get a general idea for their anatomy. Like I said in my live stream before, when learning how to draw or create anything else, you really have to learn your basics for the subject matter that you are drawing before you try and stylize anything. This was a birthday present for Ari, or Ursula Decay, my very best friend. I did end up mailing her birthday present and her Christmas presents and everything all together, but I wanted to draw something special for her birthday. So I drew Veruca in my style. She's awesome, and I actually really love how this came out. I don't know why, but in some areas the markers kind of bled, but that's okay because it gave that really grungy kind of effect, and I really like how this looks. I'm really like digging how my inking with the Copic marker style is going, even though it does make me miss my watercolors. I am finding that I am enjoying my ink with the Copic marker style, and it is quicker and easier, and I can still blend and get that feeling that I enjoy, and I might have to suck it up as far as, you know, creating pieces, even though I would rather be doing things in watercolor. This is probably one of my pieces that I'm most proud of. This is an exploration of Tara, my green centaur unicorn's sister, and this is her sister, and her sister's name is Kaylee, or Kay, and she is a scout for the clan. And then her element of magic, because all the unicorns, of course, they have magic for their horns, is air. But she is awesome, and I loved creating her design, trying to take little things from Tara and then kind of make it opposite her. So she is blue instead of green, but she is turquoise, so she's not like, you know, she still has a little tint in there, and then the complementary colors of the yellow that would also still pull from the green. And then I love her markings. I took like little instances from Tara's markings, and I actually ended up changing Tara's markings later on. So her markings and Tara's markings are a little bit different, but Tara has very long hair and she has 2 braids, but because she's a scout and for ease of access, I really liked the idea of taking her hair and giving her 4 ponytails essentially. And I just really loved her design, how she came out, the piece, the pose, how I executed it with the inks and layering of the Copics. And this is the style I'm really most proud of and gearing towards with, and that I will probably use moving forward to be doing a majority of my pieces. This was a sketch that I ended up doing because, what was it? I saw a bunch of Godzilla things and I was really missing Zilla and in the mood. I used to watch Godzilla all the time when I was a little girl with my dad, and I came up with the concept of kind of like Godzilla is always, even though like he's either the protector or the person who is destroying the earth, and he's been here for thousands and thousands of years, you don't really see a whole lot of wear and tear in him. So I wanted to make it really messy and implement like some scarring and kind of make it like an old man Zilla. I really want to explore this piece and kind of maybe almost make a piece for Tampa Bay Comic-Con if people would be interested in a print, because I really love Godzilla and I want to do my own take. I really like, you know, kind of making more than half of his body the growth of his scales and just seeing how that was. I liked the modern movie from 2016 or 2017. I really loved their version of Zilla and how they made him, even though his arms were way smaller. But I love dinosaurs and Zilla rules. I could draw him for days. This was just a nice sketch to get into. This, of course, is Surfing Pikachu from our childhood, and then I gave him some extra pizzazz. Pokemon is one of those things that I could always go back and draw and feel good, and they are just broken down to simple shapes. You guys know I love drawing monsters. Pokemon was a big part of my childhood. I really love this, and I will definitely be making this a print for Tampa Bay Comic-Con, and I'll probably have to include some other Pokemon things in there too, but I really, really love how this came out. This was a whole lot of fun to do, and I believe I used this for a piece in one of my videos. And then of course when we knew that we were getting a Venom movie, I had to hurry up and sketch something for Venom because I freaking love Venom and I love Tom Hardy. Gosh, so excited for that. Definitely want to make a Venom piece for Comic-Con 2. Very inky, very messy with the teeth. You guys know I love that stuff, and the mess with the drool and the grit and the grime and the I'm just gonna have to come up with a really cool pose, but I just had to get this sketch out of my system. And then this, of course, was the start of my unicorn and healing crystal series. And this, you kill me. I already forget what crystal this is. I don't think it's selenite. But I believe this was wealth and protection and healing and a couple of other things. But I wanted to find a healing crystal color of colors that I didn't normally use, mixed with like the greens and the blues and the browns, and then using an outline, of course, that wasn't so harsh as the black and the composition, and just kind of changed that up. I was also experimenting with my liquid frisket and seeing what cool effects I can get coming out to see where it kind of outlines the character, but as well as you know, just showing like cool textured ways to outline it instead of it just being a white gel pen. But a lot of experimentation there and had a lot of fun. And then I used some metallic watercolors there just for fun. He was a lot of fun to make. This is another character for Tara and her unicorn centaur tribe. I drew him, but his body obviously, unfortunately, is too short. And the pose is very stiff. However, this was just me drawing and just coming up with a character, so wasn't really too concerned about making everything perfect. I really still enjoy the sketch and bringing this all together. The idea and the concept for this character, he is a guard, and he is actually, his nickname is Peach because he is going to be the iteration of the pink unicorn centaur that I initially drew with Tara first when I draw them in tiny small illustrations. He is pink, so his nickname is Peach, but that Peach is not his name, that's just what she calls him. And he of course is a warrior. I gave him a spear. I was going to give him bow and arrows, but I thought that was very you know, go-to thing, so I wanted to do something different. I gave him a spear. At first I was going to, I believe I may make his power be healing, because it will just be very, you know, not controversial, just weird having like a warrior also be a healer. But maybe because he wants to do more than just, you know, stay on the side and heal, he wants to be in there. And he is always on Tara's case. Tara, as you know, in Latin means earth, so initially her powers were going to be earthly related, but I've been debating on what to do with her powers. But this was just more character exploration for Peach. I don't know what his real name is just yet, that's just his nickname, but I really like how this came out, and I will probably stick to a lot of these initial concepts for his design. Another piece for my unicorn and healing crystal series that I actually stopped doing. I don't know why. I think I just got tired of it. I had the initial great idea to try and make a book for it, but again, inner me was saying no one's probably gonna want to do this, which is not the right way to think, but maybe not the perfect time in my life to try and do something right now. Who knows, we'll see. I can always go back, but I had a lot of fun making this. Again, forget what this element is already. I am so bad, but I believe that this was strongness, poise, guarded, and then so I wanted to take almost like the elements of the crystals and make them part of the cave, a part of his body, and then almost they were more swirly elements. And again, experimenting, I wanted to use stones with colors that I didn't normally use and just experiment that way. This is going to be a Dragon Ball Z piece, as you can see from drawing the Eternal Dragon, and then I was going to have Goku here, and then Bulma. She was initially hanging on and like slipping off, but then she was just sitting here casually over down here looking at the Dragon Ball radar. Now I do want to revisit kind of like this aspect to make a print for Comic-Con, because I love Dragon Ball Z and I love these characters, and I did like this concept, and I do love Shenron to death, and I love drawing dragons. They're my first love. So I will be incorporating a Dragon Ball piece with Shenron and trying to also incorporate Goku and Bulma in there somehow or separately. This was a sketch that I did of my female Grim Reaper character, who was originally named Lily, but then I realized I was naming all of my characters after different plants, and my Triclops, Delphi, is named after a plant, but she's a botanist, so that makes more sense. So I'm gonna have to rename my Grim character. And then the idea with her is she, obviously everything she touches dies, but she does have control. She has necromancy powers as a Reaper. So instead of killing things, she doesn't like killing things, but she does enjoy taxidermy. So she uses her abilities to create beautiful taxidermy. And this was just the sketch of the initial idea. I didn't like it, so I drew it again and went back and revisited it, like this much better, came up with a much better composition in my opinion, and was much more happy with this piece. I was gonna color it, but then I decided not incredibly in love with it enough to color it. And I enjoy it just as it is for what it is with the ink sketch that we have here. but you know, further proceeding to the point that this is a sketchbook for exploration. First piece, didn't like it, that's okay, you can try again, and bam, you might be happy again with the second piece. But this was just helping me further explore her character and things that I may or may not want to do with her, which I've had a lot of fun doing, by the way. This, okay, so feeling a little bit of work woes here, and I was replaying Dragon Age Inquisition finally with the DLC, which I had never done before. So I was in the knights and the armor, and then, as you know, artwork. I cannot pronounce her Instagram name properly, or her online handle, but she draws a lot of lovely, amazing knights, and she also inspired me. But I also felt as a person who was working at my job, this is kind of like how I felt. So this is, you know, diving back into the, you know, self-emotions kind of art, and I always want to try and be positive and happy all the time, but real life isn't that way. You know, we go through hard times in our life, and art is a way of expression, and I feel like I should be able to do so. And you all ended up really liking this piece on Instagram, which is really surprising because I didn't think it was that well put together. I just was sketching out of emotion and just throwing everything on there. I do love how I just mix these colors that maybe shouldn't have even belonged together, but they just went so well. So experimenting and layering with the Copics, kind of like I would with the watercolors, I'm still really enjoying that. But I felt like this was just an undead soldier giving all she had to give and just slowly deteriorating away, which is kind of how I felt while I was still working. And then I decided to get in on the Copic Colors monthly thing, where you have the 3 Copic will announce every month 3 different colors, and they challenge you to make a piece with that. And I believe it was for the month of March or April, where it was 3 green colors. First thing that came to my mind was Medusa, and this was my BS sketch, and I was like, nope, I got the drawing out there first, didn't like it, so I'm like, I'll just keep it simple and do a portrait. And then we have this beauty, which I am incredibly proud of because I made it completely out of the Copics. I wanted to challenge myself and do no black outlines. And then even go as far as to have her snakes and her hair wrapping around her body to create a full bust, and then going back in and only adding the white gel pen for the details. And I really like this, and this made me happy. I built up a lot of the colors to create the textures and the scales, and you guys know I love doing them. It's one of my favorite things to do in art, is texture, build up, and I just really enjoy doing that. And then, of course, my little boy Curb, I think I was just warming up with him. He really wants this adorable crocheted Kirby that my good friend Jennifer, or Jfo, if you look her up on Instagram, she does crochet Pokemon, she does clay things. She's just so incredibly talented and just so many different ways, but she made me this for my birthday. And he wants it so bad, but he cannot have it. So I drew him with his wish, even though he doesn't know about it, because that's what he really wants, and Kirby would not be very happy to be in Kirby's mouth because Kirby would rip him apart in a matter of seconds. But this is his hair is so messy, and he's so fluffy, and he's just my little boy. This came about, this mess sketch, when we got our Retribution Black Watch mission, which I think is one of my most favorite events ever that Overwatch has come out with yet. I do want to try and create a Black Watch piece for Tampa Bay Comic Con. It'll be really hard because it is a group piece, so trying to create a composition with so many characters in one place and make them work and make them fit, and all the anatomy and all the pieces is going to be a challenge, but I want to take it on. I have a lot of ambitions to do a lot of group pieces, merely because I want to fit in as many characters and give as many choices as possible. But I really want to try and do this, and this was my first go at just like throwing the sketch together, not thinking of anything. My final thing will probably look something similar to this. I may change the pose up a little bit, but this is not going to be it. And then, of course, for National Unicorn Day, I wanted to draw Skelly dude, but since I drew so much of him, I thought it would be interesting to show who he was before he died and turned into a spirit, and this is Spiro, or Skelly dude. So I kind of reversed almost his colors. He still has his red eyes and his beautiful red hair, but normally he glows yellow, and his bones are green, but that's really, they're just luminescent. And then his magic was purple, so even as a ghost, his ectoplasm, or his ghost, you know, aura, that is purple and that is yellow. But here I used that green as his outline here, and everybody really loved this too, and I liked how he came out, and I really want to explore more of Spiro and his story if I can, just for fun, or maybe even just for as practice. This was more, these were more concepts for tattoos. I was getting into the three-eyed raven tattoo idea, and then stuff for my own tattoo. I want to do something maybe retro, like a Game Boy. Initially I wanted like a pixel Pokemon, but I want all my tattoos to be black and white just so they match, and because I have incredibly pale skin, so I don't want anything to clash. But then pixel art doesn't look all that hot. In black and white it would look weird, so I was just sketching out these Game Boys and then sketching out ideas for the three-eyed raven. Now this was the piece that I really liked, and then of course this was the first thing I drew and just warmed up as, hated it, and then that's what he liked, and that's what always happens with clients. So I suggest if you don't like a piece and you don't think it's the best thing to do, don't even show them that, just show them the one you like, because this I think was incredibly more stylized, had way more movement, and I liked it better. But this is going on the client skin, it's what they wanted, and then as you can see, that's what I ended up using. That, oh no, it might be too far back. That space up there was, I combined it because he said he wanted more wings down here. Ah, see, and this was my second pass at it, and then he had said he liked the first one where the face was down, and then from that other page I made it really tiny because I'm like, I'm not drawing this again for you, dude. But I combined the two things, and then that was the finished product. And then again, the surfing Pikachu, I was trying to come up with ideas for a tattoo. I'm like, well, maybe I can take the pixel and then make it simple, and then I'm like, no, I'm not 100% sold on this tattoo. And then so I was coming up with a lot of different tattoo concepts, and then I was gonna try and do a new profile portrait thing for social media. And then again, continuing trying to do a cool, you know, everyone has a really dope profile icon thing that they have everywhere. This I have as a piece of sketching for a character for a project that I can't share just yet. And then, as you know, some more exploration for Cat the Bat. It was Friday the 13th, so I wanted to do something with her in it, and her being sassy and cute, even though she does tend to like more lively, fruitier characters, but she is a monster, and I wanted to give her a little dark edge there. I can't show you this next piece because this piece is going to be part of that project and that publication that I can't share, so we're just going to skip that. And then you have seen this from my Artscape Art Supplies review. I used the Artscape watercolors to make this wonderful John Constantine Hellblazer piece. I am going to be making this a print for Tampa Bay Comic Con because I really love this. The watercolors were wonderful, and I loved layering it, and it just it's smooth, and you don't normally get that. And I just, I got so much out of this, and I had so much fun. And I have to make more pieces, hopefully as nice as this. I was able to keep this relatively clean. So this is the style that I want to lean more towards, that I'm kind of really happy with this and the watercolors and this and the Copics. And then here again from that Art Supplies review with the gouache, I wanted to do something for Black Panther. I wanted to kind of take those complementary colors. Originally I wanted to take the symbols that he had across his suit that were in purple, but the palette didn't come with the purple. The purple was very dark and muddy, so I couldn't make really bright. I was gonna have it glow and that kind of ruined my idea. So I just made, you know, his Wakanda Forever position, and then I wanted to take almost kind of like, if you look closely, the edgings in the fabrics, and all their fabrics are very like angular and crisscross, and they break down into a lot of shapes, and then there's a lot of etching. So I want to incorporate that into the background along with those popping colors of you know, the culture where they had a lot of oranges and reds and yellows, and make him pop. And I like the build here, and I went back with the ink, but gouache is just really not my thing. I cannot work backwards to save my life, but it was a very good attempt, and I am fairly happy with how it came out. And then the final piece I drew when I was really feeling down at work. I felt I had been backstabbed several times, and I let that out onto paper. I sketched it a long time ago, and then I finished it and then inked it and decided to use it for a video, and the 3-color challenge thing using April colors, I believe. And I really love how she came out, and I just, again, you know, can't always be happy, and expressive art, it really helps, and most of the time your expressive pieces come out the best. So I'm really happy with how she came out. I made a really cool, well, that's kind of tooting my own horn, is it? I took my emotions and I made like, I tried to transfer them into a narrative to go along with the piece, and I'm going to try and do that more often, because that is the point of an illustrator, is to kind of tell a story. So there you have it, and she's the betrayed knight, and feelings feel better now. But that's it. That's the last piece in the sketchbook, and this is an incredibly old sketchbook. If it went back to flip to the front, these pieces are so old. I can't believe I made it through here. I love this sketchbook, and that I was able to learn not to try and make everything in the sketchbook a finished product, and make it about exploration and learning. And I think that's what's really important when we make these things. But that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys loved it. If you like this video, please leave me a like and a comment down below. If you would like to see other videos on my channel and you enjoyed watching this, please hit that subscribe button and the more cowbell button, because apparently YouTube doesn't want you to see videos. So let's have more cowbell. It looks like a cowbell. That's what we're going with. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.